Hello. Hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. Welcome to Leap Taken. Welcome to the channel. This is going to be a nice little fun conversation. We're going to talk about, um, what I would do differently, how I would approach things differently if I had to start over again as a witch in 2025. And I'll talk a little bit about what you actually sort of need to begin. Obviously, this is, based on the individual, but, I've been practicing for a little bit of time. So I don't know. I feel like I can talk about I know I can talk about it. I've been out here in these witchy streets for dang near 2 decades. So I got a little something to say. And the first part was very much in a closet. So I can talk about it. But welcome to the channel. I appreciate you. If you are here ahead of everything, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. I would appreciate that. I post here pretty consistently. At least twice a week lives, and I do a voiceover type video usually on Sundays. And who knows what it'll be like coming into the next season, because I realize I like to switch things up. So go ahead and subscribe and you won't know what's happening. You won't know that I switched it up. So anyway, hello everyone. I'm on at a later point in the day, so we're trying this. We're already trying some things, but it's Friday, it's Venus Day. I'm in my vibe right now. Got my incense going. It's a good time over here. It's very at peace. It's good. Perfect time to have this type of conversation. So instead of the witchy review I normally do, I don't have a book that I reviewed or a specific product. There's no haul or anything like that. That's coming, but not yet. But we're still doing a review. It's just kind of in a different way. So I'm reviewing my own journey as a witch. So we're going to be diving into what I do differently if I were starting my witchcraft practice in 2025. What's in the actual, excuse me. Okay, pull it together now. What's in the actual witchy starter pack that matters, and I'm using that term loosely, and what I would leave behind entirely. So, I'm talking some real talk here, a bit of reflection. For some, it might sound like tough love, but, stay with me. Probably for myself as well. And for the witchy internet world. Light your candle, light your incense, and we're going to get into it. So let's start at the top. So if I had to start over, let's pretend I woke up tomorrow with all the knowledge I have now, but none of the tools, none of the books, none of the altar setups, just me, a clean slate, and a desire to practice the craft. So I would start with why. I wouldn't run out and buy crystals. I'd sit down and ask, why do I want to be a witch? Am I seeking healing, a deeper connection with the universe, power, rebellion, or retaliation? Knowing this changes everything. Your why. Start with your why. I don't think I asked myself that back when, which is why I would say that, knowing what I know. Why do you want to do this? Why? Why do you want to pursue this? Why? And that why is not to deter you or to make sure you really want to do this. It's more of a thing, it's making sure you're aware of what you are doing. And we kind of need more understanding behind our motivations. Like, okay, are you doing it because, I don't know, I just feel called? That's not a reason. I just feel called. It's really not. Why do you feel called? What makes you feel called? Examine your feelings, because this will come up. I think people not asking why is why some people go into, she was a witch, she had all the crystals, she showed you her altar setup, she would be talking all this stuff that sounds real woo woo, and the next time you see this person, they're a deaconess, and you're like, well, how? Or they're Muslim, they're wrapped up in everything. You're like, well, when did this happen? Listen, it happens a lot. It happens a lot, and I don't think people understand why. Just saying I feel called, I mean, to yourself, this is not something you have to tell anyone else, but I don't think uh that's part of the reason. But why do you think you feel called? Now, if you said, I feel like it's in my ancestral line for me to follow this. I can't, I don't know how to prove it, but I feel like a deep ancestral connection. And the more I learn, the more I understand, it resonates with me in such a way that it's like deep in my roots. And I feel like there's an ancestral tie to this. So, because of that, I want to use this for power to help, my people. I want to use this for healing to help heal myself and maybe others. I want to use this for connection to my ancestors. So that's your why. That may change, but at least you can have an understanding of why you're doing this, as opposed to just saying, I don't know, it just feels like it's something I'm supposed to do. That's not enough. That's not enough, because you're going to get jammed up on the back end. Not because you have to explain this to someone. That's not why. Because if you don't have a deeper connection on the why, when things go hairy, when life gets unpredictable, and if it feels like the bottom is falling out from your life, that I feel called to it is not going to sustain you. That's all. Tangent over. Skip the starter witch shopping spree. Okay, so when I first started, I thought I needed a massive haul. Most of us do, of tarot decks. I wanted the pendulum. I wanted all the incense, even though I didn't even like some of them. I wanted them all. I wanted herbs that I would never end up using. Um, Instead, I'd focus on what truly resonates now, not what I think looks good. Because I would like comb through uh, Pinterest and other places, desperately wanting this setup, whatever I saw, I wanted a piece of that so bad. And in reality, again, I didn't even like a lot of the incense. Some of the herbs that I would come across that I thought I would have to have. I did. Why? What do I? I never had a purpose or reason to use them, but I'm glad I did not go out and spend a bunch of money at that time. When I started, my kids were younger, so there was always other things that I needed to spend my money on. And I was, we were definitely, well, me, I was definitely like the budget person in the house. So I didn't use a lot of my money toward witchcraft supplies and tools and things like that anyway, because even though it was beginning to be important to me and I coveted the other stuff, I really wanted that really bad. I also was very kind of practical. I was couponing, so I wasn't going to go spend a lot of money on this stuff. But I'm glad that I kept that. I'm glad that's where my mind was, because now I have more. The money's a little more free because I don't have the type of responsibilities I had then. So if I was coming into it right now, I could go buy all the things, but that's not a good idea to do that, because you end up with stuff you may never use, and it goes bad, or it's just not as effective as it once was. Things over time can spoil or just lose their effectiveness when you're talking about like organic matter. So that would be my only issue about that. You just might end up wasting your money. So those kits where it's like, kind of like the starter witch thing, they sell them on Amazon. I had bought one. I'm thinking about buying another one just to see like what they're doing now, but it would just be fun. But you get like all these little baggies of herbs and all this other stuff. Like, you don't need to do any of that right away. I'm gonna be honest, you really don't. If you want to do it, but it's not necessary. Um, what I would do is I'd learn the language of magic first. So I would learn more about the correspondences, like the colors. Um, the days of the week, magical days of the week, and things like that. What the representatives are, the correspondence of herbs and of the moon phases. I think this is sort of the grammar of witchcraft. Once you learn it, you can cast spells with anything at that point. It doesn't mean you have to always stay within the lines, but if remember, this is my game of pretend. I'm waking up, I have this knowledge, and I want to get started. So this is, but I don't have any tools or anything like that. I would just learn about these things. Working with the lunar cycle has been beneficial in my practice. And I work with that within my coven. So is the collective energy of all of us. But that has been super helpful in my practice. I'm glad that we do that. I'm glad that that's my approach because it's been super helpful, helping with me taking that approach of like with the new moon. I set intentions primarily. I do a little bit more, but I'm high level. Full moon, releasing. I know some people go back and forth about that. That's been my approach, and it's been working wonderfully. I have seen results from my rituals for the things that I those intentions that I put out, including the beneficial aspects of my life where I did release things like big things like releasing feelings of not feeling like I'm enough, of imposter syndrome, which I'm starting to think as a Black person, I don't even know if that's possible. But anyway, Black American, but that's another topic for another day because there's just so much other stuff intertwined. But for lack of better words, I would call it imposter syndrome. This affected my writing for sure, and why I took such a long break. I beat myself up, y'all, about this kind of stuff. I feel like I'm not moving fast enough. It's a thing, and I'm working through that with full moon releasing. So it's not about lighting candles and all that. Well, it can be, but basically what I do is I make this declarations, and I like to write things down on a piece of paper too, and I like to burn them. For those releasings. And if you don't want to burn, you can have it dissolve in water. You can bury it, however you want to approach it. But I'm fire sign here. I like fire. I like to set things ablaze. So yeah, doing that and releasing fear of being seen. Oddly enough, since I'm on the internet, but you'd be surprised that a lot of people is like, well, I don't want to get too big because I don't want too many people to know me. Crazy stuff like that. So really using the lunar cycle to help me emotionally and mentally has been super helpful and beneficial, and the best thing I could have been doing. And this started, I have been working specifically with the moon phases as intentionally and as consistently since we really started the coven. Before, of course, we all, I worked with it before, but not as this consistent as I've been. And there is listen, that is potent and powerful to do this regularly and to attach your goals to this and your emotions and all that. Listen, the moon is affecting us anyway. Why would this not be a good time to do, the work? I digress. So I would learn about the correspondences and all that sort of stuff. For sure. I think a lot more people need to understand that. And it's not about being rigid, it's just understanding the basics. And then once you understand the basics, you can remix, you know? Skip trying to pick a witch type too soon. Um, I wasted time wondering if I was more of a green witch, a lunar witch, a hearth witch, or instead of just being a witch. I mean, I made a declaration here years back, like, oh, I'm an eclectic witch, and now I say I'm a cottage witch. But this is years in the making. Up until that point, I really had a hard time figuring out what type of witch I was, and I wish I didn't really focus on that. Um, and just said I'm a witch and just kept it there in my mind, just focus on the witchcraft part, and not so worried about titles. That comes later. That comes later. Right now, I'm cool with just witch. That's fine. And I don't need to, I didn't need to, well, now well, let me start over. I should have been fine with just witch. Now I do like to call myself a cottage witch, but I have had time into this thing and I figured it out for myself. No, seriously though, I've had time, and I've had opportunities to just kind of reflect in my practice and say, well, I'm, like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense for me, to kind of take this route. And once I kind of made this declaration, I found an actual cottage to live in. That's the crazy part about all of this. I literally am a cottage witch and I live in a cottage. Anyway, next thing. Um, I was gonna, yeah, labels can be helpful later. And this is my later. I'm in my later phase. But they can also kind of box you in too early. That's really the point. I'd be more honest about the fear. I've talked about that here before, about the fear. In the beginning, I was afraid of doing things wrong, low key up spirits as well, of being seen as a witch. So I'd remind myself, fear doesn't mean to just stop. It means this might be powerful, but keep going. I would understand more about protection and things like that. I would work to understand more about doing protection magic and things like that when I feel afraid versus saying, oh, I'm spooked and stop everything. Because, just because you're afraid doesn't mean it's wrong or it's bad. It just means you're afraid. You're scared. And you need to examine what about this makes me afraid. Um, I don't know. I have a reflective type of personality. Like I reflect on myself, good or bad. I'm willing to do that work. So that's not hard for me, but I'm realizing that when I talk to people, everyone does not know how to be self aware, let alone analytical of self. So if this sounds crazy, maybe you're one of those people. You might want to maybe start trying to do. That's where we keep talking, witches talk about shadow work, and that's really what it is, just doing a little self-analysis. If you're willing to do just a little bit, you'd be surprised what you can find out about yourself. And it's not to knock yourself down or make you feel like you don't, something's wrong with you. It's just exploring all aspects of self. So I'm going to ask a question if you're catching this on a replay. If you had to start your witchcraft practice all over again today, what would you skip? And what's the first thing you'd get or do? I'd skip the name thing, as I mentioned. I'd skip buying all the items. And the first thing I would do is, again, ask my question of why, and we'll start talking about what I'll get in a moment. So we're going to talk about the Witchy starter pack you actually need. And I'm using that as just like a term. It's not an actual pack, but hear me out. I know I shouldn't make this and sell stuff like this. I think this might actually help people. But anyway, so let's for a moment forget about TikTok, Etsy, even YouTube, and what they might make you believe as far as, what every witch actually needs. A lot of it's not even physical. So a journal or a blank notebook. This becomes your first grimoire or book of shadows. You track everything, your dreams, your feelings, your rituals, your spells. The reflection itself is a spell, by the way. So I'm going to take a pause. So as you know, I sell book of shadows, but I want to show you, actually not this one. I want to show you where I started. This is a sketchbook that I got like at a craft store. I think it was like Michael's, the artist loft, as I knock my glasses over. Anyway, so this was a sketchbook, and now and I converted it. It was all blank, and I converted it into my book of shadows. So yeah, here you go. This one was started because I had previous ones. This one was started in 2018. So this is where I started. I graduated from that. I bought another sketchbook and I got a little fancier with it. And this one is she's quite large. So there's a lot in here. So I've actually shared a lot of these pages and creation of these pages here on this channel. So this one was the other one. Another thing you can do if you feel like, you don't want to get a sketchbook that feels like too much, you can also just use a composition notebook as well. Sophia Bring Light says, it took me a long time to realize I am the spell. The most important tool, it begins with me. Yes, that's exactly what I'm getting at. Thank you. And just like that, you can have something very simple like a composition notebook to write things down and to paste things in. As things fall out. I'm big on that myself. I'll add things and write things. So you can definitely do that too. Um, Now, as I mentioned, I do sell these books of shadows. This is the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, the Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch, and this is the Hoodoo Grimoire. So right now, these are my three available. I have more to come that might fit your vibe, not necessarily your title. But if you are finding yourself doing more folk magic and things of that nature, granny magic, obviously hoodoo, the way these are set up is you have the first few pages has text, some sort of get you started information, and the rest of the book are going to be blank pages. These are like tea stained pages that you can continue and just write things down and write your reflections. You don't have to put a bunch of pictures and stuff like that. It could just be your writings. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but you don't have to go and paste all these things if that's not your thing. You just want to write out the words of how you feel or a spell or a ritual. You can just write as well. Now these pages in the book, they do not have line pages. They're blank pages for you to do whatever, and it has minimal decor on the pages, as you can see. But it does, it's enough to get you started. And again, with the same one, with this one, there's information in the front and then the blank pages halfway through. Same thing with the book Shadows for the Love Witch. And with the Hearth Witch, again, if you find that your magic is more around the home, if you're finding that you're connecting more with cottage witchery, hearth witchery, domestic magic, or if that's where you would like to maybe start, this one makes more sense to continue to write in. And if you have a thing where you're more about your glamour magic, your love magic, anything, if you're a devotee to Aphrodite, if you are working with Oshun, if you are working with Hathor, any of those types of goddesses, and that appeals more to you, and you want to write those reflections down. Same thing with the other deities and things like that. That you want to work with, Hestia, Vestia, things like that, and Hecate as well. It makes sense to use something like that. I'm just giving you guys ideas about, like, when I say journal or even a blank notebook. You can do as you want. You can do a lot actually with that, but please understand, reading, as you continue to put information in there, look at what you wrote, look at your reflections, and then reflect on your reflections, because to me that in itself is working magic. Just kind of getting into the space you were in at that time, in the present. You can do so many things with that, and you can learn about yourself, and you can improve on your magic as well. The other thing is cleansing tools that feel right. So it doesn't have to be sage or Palo Santo. You can also use Florida water. You can use sound for cleansing. You can speak a prayer, or even just your intention. And my favorite, with no tools at all, just breath work. So, Florida water, because I'm going to add that to my floor wash and things like that. When I'm wiping down, like in a kitchen, I'll wipe down my cabinets and stuff like that. I'll add a little bit, and I'll wipe down cabinets and surfaces and things like that with it. That's where that comes into play. You can make your own as well. Sound. Me personally, I like certain vibrations in the home, so I will go on to YouTube and I'll play certain, the different sounds for like cleansing and for your chakras or for anything like that. I play that sort of stuff at a sort of kind of a low volume, and I'll have that on throughout the day. It's just cleansing. Sometimes it's actually, music with, talking and stuff, popular music, things like that. So I'll have that playing. It affects the vibe in the home. It affects my energy. I do that as well as kind of like to just break things up. And my all-time favorite is just clapping. Just go through the house and I'll clap real loud. And, I might say a couple words of things like that. But Sound, yeah, that resonates with me, using sound to sort of to cleanse the air, to cleanse the space. But sage is fine if you want. I know there's the whole white sage and all that sort of stuff, but if it's available to you, if that makes sense to you, if that resonates with you, use it. Same thing with Palo Santo. I also like to use incense. A lot of people, for some reason, skip incense as being a way to cleanse the space, because you can make your own and it can have all the things, the herbs that correspond with cleansing. So you can do that too. The other thing, my point is simple. It wouldn't be a lot. My hands, just clapping would be enough. Uh, a candle. So I'm going over my sort of witchy starter pack. So we talked about journal, blank notebook, cleansing tools that feel right. It could just be you clapping or snapping. A candle, one will do. I'll be honest with you. One white candle can be protection, it could be healing, clarity, or peace. It's about what you put into the spell, not just the color alone. Um, yeah, I can't state that enough. Not just the color alone. So, yeah, I would just start with one. If all I had was a Dollar Tree tea light candle and the color white, I'd work it. I'd feel very confident in working that as well, because I know it's more than just about that candle, and it's definitely more than just the color of the candle. It's about what I'm saying, what I'm doing, where my headspace is at, my emotions involved, my expectations. Am I petitioning some entity, and their say so and their involvement? There's so many other things. The day of the week, what's happening? There's so many other elements involved into that spell. How did I raise the energy to start the spell? There's a lot more involved. Um, I would pick one or two powerful ingredients. Maybe it's cinnamon, maybe it's bay leaves, salt, um, just a couple, and I'd learn everything about how to use them. Uh, Bay leaves for sure, and salt. Um, yeah, probably cinnamon. And I know some people think rosemary is like the herb. I was always taught in the beginning from the different books I read and from other people that rosemary is the interchangeable herb you can use for everything, and to some capacity, there's nothing wrong with that. Thinking that, I mean, again, it's about your intention, right? But bay leaves are a big freaking deal. I like bay leaves a lot. Also, I like using salt and cinnamon because cinnamon resonates with me. But if none of this resonates with you, then maybe you are the rosemary and salt and something else. Maybe you prefer cayenne pepper instead of cinnamon. Honestly, now that I'm saying it, maybe it would be cayenne pepper, bay leaves, salt. Those would be my top things that I would really work with the most. Peppers, the pepper family, I would go crazy with that information. But magic isn't in the shelf, it's in the relationship. So it's not all about what you have on. Don't get caught up in the aesthetics. Like all the things you have on your shelf. I love looking at that sort of stuff. And I like having that because I just like having everything on hand. I'm a little bit of a hoarder, but that's not what we're talking about. um, but I would start with just those simple things, and I would learn the heck out of how to use those from every which way, and just become more of a master at that. I wish I had taken that approach from before when I first started, as opposed to trying to learn everything. And remember, I had this desire to have all the things. So I'm glad that I wasn't able to make good on that. But while I was coveting having all the things from all the other people or who I thought had everything, um, I wasn't spending enough time just mastering each herb and learning about all the ways I could use that herb. And I wish I had taken that approach. All right. One book, find one book that speaks to you initially, not the most popular because they usually are not good. Note, not the most advanced, because I used to be one of those people. I want the real witchcraft. No, we're not doing to calm down. The one that makes your soul light up. Now, if you are following or you joined my Discord, Leap Taken's a safe place for witches, I have all the books that I would recommend, my recent picks, if I was just getting started in witchcraft. They are all there. Feel free to go check that out. Join the Discord. We are getting together tomorrow for our first Saturday. It's going to be an ongoing thing every first Saturday of the month. We're just going to do a little witchy meet and greet, little virtual things, kind of like Zoom style. You do not have to be on camera if you don't feel comfortable. It's just your voice. So we'll be interacting. But come through tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Come through. But anyway, yeah, so that's where you'll find the list of books. That's where I have my recommendations. So go there and you'll see everything. I would also pick one daily ritual that I would actually do. Because this is kind of like your anchor. So maybe it's a morning candle. Maybe it's stirring attention to your coffee or your tea. Maybe it's pulling a card. I don't think magic magic sticks when it kind of fits into your life. So for me, it was the coffee or tea and stirring of intentions. Um, that's where it would start with me. That was the main thing for me. And then everything else kind of ties into my practice as a cottage witch, like the way I go around, I open up the house. That's what I call. I feel like I'm opening up the house because getting the blinds open, opening the doors sometimes to get a feel for what's happening outside. Depending on the weather, not now because summer. We do not open the windows here at this time of year. It's just not the time. But and other times I'll open the windows up, get some fresh air in the house. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of opening up the house and acknowledging the home itself, acknowledging the house plants, the organic matter in the home. And that's kind of my routine first thing in the day. And that's where the magic begins for me. But you kind of want, I don't want to say need to, you should really try to find something. If it's not the morning for you, maybe it's at the end of the night, maybe it's just journaling, however you want to approach it. But you should find some sort of ritual that you can comfortably do almost every day that makes sense for you and your magical practice. So I do want to give some optional budget witch tips as well. So like for quick spells, you can use birthday candles. um, for herbal magic, tea bags. If you don't already know, you know. If you are looking for altar tools, please, the Dollar Tree. You can find a lot there. And spell bottles or spell jars, you can use your recycled jars and bottles to do that. For sure, especially like if you have like wine bottles, you can use the liquor bottles or olive oil. If you got like the large glass one, you can use that as well, and of course jars for sure. All right, so this other part is kind of fun and a little bit freeing. So I kind of hinted at this in a previous witchy review. I think the last one where I'm talking about like what didn't work and what didn't work, and also why it's okay. So I didn't like oracle cards initially. So tarot decks, cool. I didn't like I didn't get oracle cards. I just didn't get it initially. I'll be honest, it was so weird in the beginning, and this is many, many, many years ago. I didn't always get them. And I remember I owned one deck for the longest time because it just didn't really resonate with me, and I don't know, I couldn't understand the point and how to use them, and it didn't make sense. So I know it's weird because I love them now and I use them so much, but I use them with my tarot cards, but that was a weird thing for me. So yeah, that didn't work. Or in the beginning of my practice, oracle cards made no sense to me. Um, Rituals that I copied but never connected with from Pinterest for sure, from books, from other people, things that I read, and I would copy it down. And it was like, oh, this is great. And I never did it. I never worked it. I never tried it. I never did it. Um, I realized it was hard. It wasn't I learned I had to tweak things. I couldn't just do something I saw verbatim. I always had to do something different. And I didn't have a lot of confidence in the beginning. So that's why. I thought I had to do what the book said or how it was listed on Pinterest. He said, I still feel that way about Oracle cards. Really? I only recently wanted to try the Seasons of the Witch ones because of your suggestions. Oh, yeah. Speaking of, because for my members only, I recorded a video. It's going to go up in a moment. But the Seasons of the Witch Wellness Oracle, I'm not helping you right now. These are beautiful cards, by the way. Lunasad, happy Lunasad or Lammas, if that's what you celebrate, as well. Um, yeah, Oracle cards was just, it did not make sense to me. I don't, so listen, I get it. It took years for me to get on board with it. Like I said, now I love them, but I know it's so weird. Um, Another thing that didn't work for me, that books that were too dogmatic. Um, and I'm not even going to get into some of the authors that are extremely popular. They were back in the day for sure, because I felt like they were too dogmatic and I didn't like that. Coming from a place where that big book and, the holy books are extremely dogmatic, I did not want something else. So those types of things, it didn't work in my practice. Especially in the beginning, trying to understand um, and of course, those tools that I thought I had to have, crystals. I thought I needed all of the crystals. I barely, for most of my practice, had really any need for crystals, to be honest with you. I have some now. I'm not in a habit of buying more. I probably collected more crystals in monthly witchy subscription boxes than I would have purchased on my own. Honestly, once I buy them, I keep forgetting what they are sometimes. And I have two, three, two books, crystal Bibles, that I personally have to look at and be like, what was, especially the ones that came in the subscription boxes, because it's like something different. They're going to give you something different. They're not sending just a moonstone, so uh, yeah, if it resonates with you. I like having them now, but I am like a basic witch. Like, this is where we're at. This is what I like to keep here, up on my desk. We keep it simple. We like moonstone. We like tiger's eye. We don't do a lot over here. We just keep it simple. And I realize now, after all these years of practicing, I'm fine with that. If I use something more rare, maybe I'm doing something more rare and that working. But yeah, I keep it simple. You said I can't do dogmatic. If I wanted that, I'd still be in a church. My thoughts exactly. I have my tried and true when it comes to crystals. I have like five. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've got this. I realized I like working with the same one. Moonstone was my first crystal I ever got, and I still connect with that. I like working with clear quartz. I like working with selenite. I like working with tiger's eye. Um, Black obsidian, and there's something, at least two other things I can't remember, for so amethyst, and there's something else I can't remember, but y'all, carnelian, I don't know, something. But I keep it simple, very basic, not a lot. I know as I name all these crystals, but it's not, I don't use them all at the same time. I keep it simple. All right. But once you got to release the guilt about this kind of stuff, because we're allowed to grow, we're allowed to evolve and let stuff go on, what you think you might need. And you can get to this point even in the beginning of your craft, in the practice. You'll realize when you first started and it's been a couple weeks and you're like, wait, I don't think I need all this stuff. No, you don't. You really don't. But anyway, those are the things I realized didn't work. So I'll ask, and you can catch this on the replay as well. What's the one thing you bought or tried in your witchcraft that just didn't work out? There's no shame. You can share it. Again, for me, it was oracle cards, realizing the books that were dogmatic, and trying to start a crystal collection. Um, just didn't work out. It was a pointless endeavor for me. I have no shame to share that with you guys. Um, the whole point of this is just kind of fun, and I just kind of want to do better. I bought a pendulum once, and it just didn't click with me. We don't even want to get started on that. I haven't given up on the pendulum. I do not use it as much as I thought I would. That is the crazy part. Let me tell you something. I was so into it in my first big book of shadows because I had like small journals before this one. Let me see if I can find that page in here. I created one. It's like some version in this book. Here we go. Look. This is all these years back. So like it's look, you see this? I'll pick that up in a minute. But you see, I created a page. I printed out, put it in here. Where'd it go? Uh-oh, here it is. I got it. Anyway, and I made my own little pendulum thing with some washi tape and like a hairband. Ah, anyway, yeah, here it is. So because I just knew I would be using it all the time. I just knew it. I did not. Not as much as I thought I would. I bought a pound of rosemary. Oh my God, because I thought it was that important. You got caught up in a rosemary pipeline too? Yeah, the rosemary. Yeah, they really sold us about the rosemary. I think witches, especially like all the books were telling you. You had other people. Well, at the time, I was reading blogs and forums. It's a different world then, but they were all saying like use rosemary and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I would have probably did the same thing with a lot of rosemary as well. All right, so I want to talk just a little bit about aesthetic versus function. So it's okay to love aesthetics. I do. I talk about this all the time. I love me. I like it. Uh, but don't mistake it for power. And it's hard. You're scrolling and you see people with these elaborate displays and they'll show I think on TikTok for me when I see people's like Aphrodite, oh my gosh. They have an entire room dedicated to Aphrodite and it is amazing. Some people like they go all out and you just look at that and you there is something that make because I it happens to me and you're thinking, well, that's so beautiful and all this the things that they have. Oh, I'm sure Aphrodite is blessing them and they're very powerful and they must be doing powerful work and things like that. And maybe they are. And maybe she is blessing them. Maybe this is all very true. But it doesn't mean that you also don't have the ability to be just as powerful with whoever you're or by yourself. It doesn't have to be with a deity, but you get my point. Like, okay, and that's them. And it's okay that you don't have that elaborate display. That doesn't make sense for you. You've got 5 cats in your house. They're not going to let you have candles all over the place. They would set the house on fire and knock them over. So you're never going to have that sort of display. You've got little kids still running around. How are you going to have all these beautiful things that are breakable? If you live by yourself and you're on a fixed income, how are you going to be buying all this stuff? Why are you buying all this stuff? Aphrodite knows your heart. Listen, if she wants that, I think she'll find the means for you to be able to purchase it as opposed to you driving yourself crazy. I also like to think that as well. But don't mistake all of that for power, is my point. That doesn't mean anybody's more powerful than you because they have more stuff that is organized very pretty, more so than what you have going on, at the time. Listen, as someone who has had beautiful displays and weeks went by and I didn't even touch it, that's telling you something right there too, because some people have beautiful things and the only time they're accessing it is when they're filming content. And that's not like shade to anybody or anything, but as someone who creates content, I'm telling you, that's a thing. Sometimes people are not touching stuff until it's time to pull out the camera. Okay, Michelle says I have 6 cats and they've had a few singed tails. There you go. Like realistically, like sometimes I think we get caught up like, oh, I'd love to have all these beautiful things. You sure about that? You might not have a place to live if you try to pull this off. You try to light all these candles up and have all these, intricate little details and all this stuff around the house. I love how people are like, oh, just go thrift for candle holders and stuff like that in a glass one. Do you have people who will not, or pets or people who will knock these things over? I'm just saying, be mindful about your situation. Be real with yourself. Does this even make sense to try to emulate something like that? And it doesn't mean the person's more powerful either. Um, and also, I want to talk about ugly tools or tools like a chipped mug, a burned candle holder that you can't quite get the wax, that orange candle, and it's still a little orange. You never got it all off. The tray that is kind of, gucky. You try to clean it, with candle wax and all that, but that's the best it's going to ever get. It's never going to be brand new. Those things, if they're sacred, it doesn't matter. Use them. The wand, the homemade wand that you made that looks a little like, maybe a 5-year-old did it in craft, but you're so proud of it. It makes sense to you. Use it. Use it. Let me see what you said. You said, I thought I was going to all these self-love rituals. To all these self-love rituals. I have literal 100 pink candles. I'm here. Let's get witchy. Hey, I'm glad you're here. The pink candles. Oh my gosh. Yes, you just wouldn't listen. I understand the 100 pink candles. I would probably be using them regularly because I would just burn them for Aphrodite, for when I do my own glamour stuff and things like that. Like, just because I would have so many, that's how I think I got to the black candle thing, because I had so many black candles. Which, by the way, I went to the Dollar Tree and they do have black candles, the glass candles. They are here, y'all. They're in a Dollar Tree. I have all these candles. I bought like 5 or 6 of them. I was gonna buy the shelf out because fair warning, I did say a bit of a hoarder, but we're not gonna talk about that. But I got them all, so I'm thinking definitely using in my Halloween displays and things like that, and some little witchy stuff as well. But definitely, I'm going to be using for Halloween stuff for sure. Halloween spell candles, but also like on display. Why are we talking about Halloween candles? Because it's almost that time. Y'all, we're getting very, very close to spooky season. I am really trying to decide if August is going to be spooky time or am I truly going to wait until September. I think I'll probably do my best to go most of August before I put any Halloween decorations up. But I can't promise you or me that I won't have them up before the end of this month. You got to look at it like this. We make the rules. Who's going to come in here and tell me to take them down? No one can stop me. So I'm going to be putting it up. Also, I kind of feel like, listen, if you want it to be Halloween, there are some people who says, you know what, I'm tired of everything else. I'm putting my tree up, my Christmas tree up. I'm going off. I keep a Christmas tree up year round in my bedroom, so I'm already ahead of that. You are stronger than me. I keep most of my spooky decor up year round. My home does have its. First of all, can we talk about this is just the year to get new decorations for the home? This is the time of year because for some of us little spooky at heart people, we already have spooky decorations up, but I have the more Halloween, Samhain esque decorations that I want to put up too. Listen, I'm tired of summer. Fall is my happy season. You know, dealing with these 110 days, like the fact that I got to think to myself, oh, it's only 108. Oh, that's not that bad. That is always bad. But like, I'm this delusional living here. Yeah, I'm ready to bring in the break in the weather, but um, we just got to August 1st. I got a minute before I get to experience that. It'll all be in my head. So I can turn this home into the Halloween fall dreams, but it will be 110 outside. There's nothing I can do about that. I'll just have to keep it in my head. Another thing I want to talk about is creating your own magical language. So you don't need to memorize Latin. I can't believe I have to say this, but I am going to just mention this because I know a lot of people kind of think that you don't have to go through old grimoires either. You can, out of natural curiosity, which to me, I'm going to talk about that in a moment, about just having a natural curiosity, is a lot to kind of just get you through understanding things. But this is not a necessity to read Latin. You can craft your own chants, your own correspondences as well. So I talked about kind of understanding what the collective meanings and definitions and correspondences are. Once you know that, you can do your own thing. I would caution just skipping to your own thing without ever looking at what the collective understanding is. You can do both. That's all. Your magic becomes stronger the more personal it becomes and the more you're actually doing it. Contrary to what people think, you can't you'll just be a witch in title. You're not doing the work. You're just a witch in title. So do the work, have your own language, have your own style. Live in your magic, whatever that is. And it's really going to be the small little things that you do throughout your day, more so, excuse me, than the big spells or rituals that you're doing. I do have some fun chat prompts that I made. And I'm going to answer too. So here's one. What's one witchy tool you bought that you regret or never used? Just the one. The one thing that I bought that I never use is a feather. I had to think because I was going through, I have a box behind me and I'm trying to keep all my go to tools in that box. Anyway, it's a feather. I thought I would do more with feathers. I don't. I don't really do anything with feathers. Of course, now that I'm saying this, I'm going to find something, but I have feathers and I don't do anything with them. I thought it would be a thing. You ever get something like that? You're like, I really thought it would be more of a thing. And I don't do anything with them. I don't even remember to use them. I don't think about them. Feathers. Feathers would be my thing. But I'm really going to reflect on that. What am I going to do with feathers? I guess you can use them for like with the incense or like you're burning something. I see people use a feather and I thought I would be doing more of that. And I don't do that at all. So it's so strange that I thought that. But I have them. I have a few. Um, if someone handed you $50 to start your practice today, what would you buy first? Insky says, you mean the dark academia aesthetic alone won't make the spell work? Right. Sunflower and Thistle says, I keep making wands and not using them. The wand thing is strong. I remember thinking I would need the purest of, I don't know, some kind of a tree in the magical blessed forest wand or something like that. Nope. I don't know. For some people, I thought it would be Athame, but I actually use my Athame and I like using it, so I'm not going to say that. But if someone handed you $50 to start your practice, what would you buy first? So, okay, so Boku Bakuma 90 says candles, clove, cinnamon, mint, some sort of orange. I like where your head's at. I like where you're going with that. That's a good supply. I'm going to start with something to write in because that's me. I'm going to get some tea light candles and some chime candles. I'm going to get those herbs I talked about, cayenne, salt, and then bay leaf. I would get something like that. Those are the main things. Yeah. And some incense. That's what I would start with that. And that's where I would start. Very simple. Do you remember your first spell? Do you? Do you remember your first spell? And how did it go? How did it go? I don't remember my exact first spell. I'm not even going to lie. I don't remember the exact spell. But I remember in the beginning of doing spells just being terribly afraid. That's what I remember, just being spooked about everything. Sunflower and Thistle, to that $50 question, said a composition book, colored pens, cinnamon powder and stick. I'm with you on that one. Clove, honey. Ooh, honey. Why did I forget that? Yeah, definitely honey. Or if I couldn't get honey, if I used too much money, I'd get at least some sugar. My first spell was a bag for luck gambling. Ooh, ooh. and I went to the casino and won. Yes. First of all, why does that make me so happy hearing that? My first spell was Lunasad Charm. Yes. Oh, well, I'm glad I asked on today. Insky says paper. Oh, to the $50 question, you would get paper, boxes, and jars. I know I need storage solutions in all aspects of my life. I like that too. um, yeah, the first spell. I can't remember. I've done so many spells. I can't. I wish I could sit here and give y'all a beautiful story. I don't remember. It's been too long. It's been too long. Next question. Oh wait, let me read this. He says, I don't know if it was my first, but one of my earliest ones was a sachet to help me get a job. I'm with you on that. It worked. Yes, I should probably be doing another one for entrepreneurship. Yes, yes, I love that for you. Um, Now I'm gonna tell you my first um, Sabbath ritual I did was belting. I know that. I know that. I remember doing it and I waited till everybody was like up in their rooms at the end of the night. And I went downstairs and I like moved things out the way, like the coffee table. And where I was living at the time, we had this pretty nice sized fireplace. I was living in North Carolina, and I put all like I set things up in a circle, and I called the quarters, and I did all the things. I do remember that ritual, the Beltane ritual. That's the first Sabbath ritual I had ever done. Thank you, Christopher John. But yeah, that was the first ritual, Sabbath ritual that I will never forget. That was kind of amazing. That and I was really free. Well, as free as I could be with everybody upstairs asleep, but you get my point. I felt free. um, all right, here's another one. If you had to give one tip to your, and I know we don't love the term baby witch, but stay with me, your beginner self, beginner witch self, what would it be? If you had to give one tip to your beginner witch self or baby witch, if it doesn't bother you, what would it be? The one tip, and I did not want to think too much about these answers because I wanted to answer with you guys. I thought of the question, but I didn't want to think too much about my answer. So I'm thinking now. One tip to my beginner self outside of what I've already talked about that I would give is like really just to get past the fear, or more importantly, if future me was going back to that self, I would say you're not going to be afraid much longer. Don't worry, it's okay, but you're going to get past this. The fear. Don't trust that woman. Oh, so I like that. Don't trust that woman. Yeah, the fear. Um, a couple things. I said one tip, but I would say you're more powerful than you realize. You really are. You are a witch. You have the power. You think you're seeking. It's already in you. Christopher John says, "I like all the elements." Okay, cool. Insky says, "One tip: print off images for your altar space. You don't need to buy stuff now." Ooh, well, the constant telling myself I don't need to buy things. I mean, I still have to say that now, but I hear you. You don't need all this stuff. That's why I like the idea of creating, for like seriously though, creating an altar in your book of shadows or your grimoires. And you can like all the things that you think you really, really want, put it in your book. And then you can like reflect on it. So like I did that in this one. This is my altar page. And it's like a, oh, what I got? Oh, no, I hit something. Anyway, it's like a flip up book. So like it's like this is the altar cloth, the purple flowery thing. And it's an alt that's what it, how I set it up. It's an altar page. So it's meant to be kind of looked at like almost 3D. I'm trying to flip the things up. So I got like an athame, I got my glass of water, I got my stones. So look, see, this is my altar. If I ever want to just work with that, I got like salt on here, a representation of the elements, and then like the goddess that I'm working with. So you see what I mean? Like you could do something like this. Now I plan to do an ancestor altar in my hoodoo grimoire. um, because I'm basically going to recreate this. Thank you. I'm going to recreate that in this one for myself as well. This is my copy I use for me. So I'm going to create something in here and do like an ant, like with the pop, because I can do that in here too. I'll just take like the same scrap paper. It's kind of like that card stock, and I would just like paste it down on the pages so it's harder and crisper. So when I open it up, it'll be a little bit more flat. That's why I chose um, the soft cover versus a hard cover, because realistically, trying to write in it with a hard cover, it's sometimes hard. Like this one, I mean, look what I did to the binding. I've read, that's how I am with my books. This will be like this eventually. It's only a matter of time. Okay. All right. So, last question. Who taught you the most about your craft? Was it a book, a person, or your own experience? I know all of these things may be true, but who taught you the most about your craft? Was it a book, a person, or your own experience? I'm going to say a book is where I got most of my experience from, but people for sure. I have had people, teachers, mentors come through my life in like in person, in real life people. And I've also had the internet, YouTube for sure. YouTube, do y'all remember back in the day, witches on YouTube? There were so many different ones. There saw you more people who look like me. You saw more of us on here at one point, and it was like a lot. That's when before when she was called Ashira Star Goddess, she was talking about like um before she started talking about like the level up, the other stuff she talks about, but she used to just talk about the witchcraft stuff. Like, remember back in those times, it was so cool on YouTube. So I learned a lot, like dark energy. She's really somebody who was influential, and like I watched that back in the day when she used to talk about like dark energy. That was pretty cool. um oh, there's of course I can't think of all these people that I remembered. It was her, it's another person, One Ritual Way. I used to love her stuff back in the day too. I learned a lot from people like her. Oh, there's some other people I can't think of their names, but anyway, it was a lot of different people um, that I learned from here on YouTube. I'm just picking people. I know that you guys know who I'm talking about, and obviously my own experience. But if I would say the mostly books. Um, Michelle says books, Sunflower and Thistle experience, but I've taken several classes online that I've learned from too. Is that reading or did you learn from a person? So maybe that's under person. Oof, the live stream DVR caught me earlier. Okay. I think other people like local friends and Tumblr, which has taught me the most. We can't forget about Tumblr. Ooh, why did I was late to that. Lady Grave Dancer. Oh my God. Yes, Sunflower and Thistle. That was the one of the other people as well. Yes. Remember her? She was, I assume, is she still here? I don't know. But I remember like that channel, and there's so many other people. Oh my God, there was this one person. She had like a wealth of information. For the life of me, I cannot remember her name or the name of the channel or anything, but I know I really loved her stuff. She used to give a lot of information. Um, yeah, back in the day. Oh, those wasn't at the time. I used to feel like it was just so much. And I'm not saying it's not now. I just feel like YouTube just like there's so many. It just feels like you don't hear, I don't know. It's it's hard to even search to find certain people because it's like gives you crazy things you didn't ask for when you try to search. Teachers online via video. Yeah. So classes would be people exactly. So like from people, that's what I'm saying. I've taken classes too. Definitely taken some witchy classes, a bunch actually. Tiptoe Chick was so sad when she passed. I don't know who that is. I probably do know who it is, and I just don't know by name. Oh, well, may she rest in peace. I don't know who that is. Off the like by name. I probably have seen them though. Um, but here's the truth though, you don't need a closet full of tools to be a witch. Y'all know that. You do need intention though. You need awareness. And you need to practice. And I think you really do need a willingness to be curious. A lot of times it just start with just wondering why. You want to be able to answer that why. Well, what's going on with that? Well, what is that? What's that about? It's okay to ponder and to wonder, and I think you should try to follow up with it. But if you're just starting out, or if you're restarting, because I realize that's a thing too, just know you don't have to do everything all at once. There's not a race here. Just start with your why. Start with that one candle. Start with that one page in a book. Just start writing some stuff down, how you feel about it. Write down your fears. I wish I would have explored that a little bit more earlier on, because I was spooked about so many different things back then. Um, Crazy how spooked I was. Like, I was for somebody into this stuff, like things that now are just like make my heart go a flutter, in the best possible way, freaked me out so much. Like I love the idea of like wearing horns right now. Back in it, y'all know why that would have freaked me out coming from a religious background. You can understand why that might have been a little scary to me. But now, please, that is, ugh, that's sexy. I love that. I like the way that looks. Um, yeah. Dark. The dark was scary to me. Um, so much magic happens in the dark. So much of my magic happens in the dark. The dark was scary to me. Like, yeah. So like all those things now, I've grown so much, I've evolved so much. But it was because I was curious. Even though I was afraid, I was still curious, and I didn't let it stop me. I do want to point that out. So if you're kind of struggling with some of this stuff, if some of the themes that are under witchcraft kind of freak you out a little bit, it's okay that it freaks you out, but don't let that be a deterrent from learning and still being curious and learning more. I'm always still trying to learn. But I hope this gives you clarity, inspiration, or just a moment to reflect. But if you did like this sort of reflective talk, let me know in the comments, especially if you're catching this on a replay. Go ahead and like the video. Um, I was thinking one day, I think one of the things that I want to make a goal for myself is to create like a starter checklist, and maybe the actual product. I'm thinking this out. I like the idea of a reset ritual kit as well, kind of like you reset yourself. I'm just trying to think what I would put in that and how, sourcing that, because I want quality products, because I want to be able to use it myself. So I think I'm going to try to put together my own version of like a witchy starter checklist, and a reset ritual kit for some of us who are trying to, like, maybe you already know some stuff that you kind of fell off, kind of just a reset. Or if you feeling like out of focus, you're not tapped into the magic like you feel like you used to be, or your spirituality, like a reset kit. I think I want to make one, and I'll share it with you guys. I've been thinking about that, because that, especially coming into the fall, we're coming in spooky, and for some people, they think it's more of a witchy time. And I truly believe people get interested in witchcraft around that time. So, or people who might have already been adjacently into the witchy stuff, it sparks their interest again. Wouldn't a reset kit would be fun? So anyway, I might just make that. I'm thinking it out. I got to see how this is going to work out. But anyway, um, stay magical out here. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like the video. Again, if you've enjoyed this, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the join button to join Leap Taken membership. And also, you can head to my website, leaptaken.com. I offer services. I do readings. I have a mentor program. I have a monthly moon readings that I also do, as well as the subscription. You can stop anytime you want, but go ahead and check that out. Again, all over at my website, leaptaken.com. And the links, of course, are in the description. If you did like the books that I was talking about, for instance, like the Hoodoo Grimoire, or the Book of Shadows for the Hearth Witch, or the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch, these are sold through Amazon, the TikTok shop, and my website, leaptaken.com, if you're interested. All right, I'm done. Have a great weekend. And don't forget, come through. The link is in the description for the Discord. Uh, Leap Taken Safe Place for Witches. We're having a virtual meetup Saturday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, bye.